Hey everybody, watch this review here with a look at Sabretooth from the Marvel Legends Face-off series, which was a series of 2 packs, each of which featured 2 notable arch-nemesis, or arch-nemesi, whatever. In this case, Sabretooth, who is sneaking up on first appearance Wolverine, which of course is the one that you saw in the old Hulk issue, with the whiskers and the shortened, I used to call them horns, but I don't. Now there is also a open mouth variant for both the Sabretooth and the Wolverine, of course. So kind of like this, which looks kind of kick-ass for action shots, but you know, I think I prefer the closed mouth overall. This also isn't the first Sabretooth to come out. There was one in the earlier lines, the one with the series was, I think it was like series, I forget, but it's the one that has brighter colors and came with a broken sentinel piece and didn't have this down the center. And of course there is a Marvel Selects Sabretooth out there too, which looks pretty neat. I mean, I was going to probably pick that one up until I got this one. Personally, as an X-Men fan, I view Sabretooth as a muckstone figure, especially because he is the antithesis to Wolverine, which was one of my favorite mutants growing up. At full height, this version of Sabretooth is just shy of 7 inches. As you can see, it's a really great looking version. I mean, mine has a loose leg, but what can you do when you buy it loose? You run the risk of having loose joints, but yeah. Paint wise, really nice looking paint job. Only problem is the colors have no variation on the body and so forth. Only the furry portions have real paint variation, and a little bit on the face too. But the face is a really weird flesh tone for some reason. Very nice face sculpt, as you'll see. I think it's a pretty good likeness, but, you know, it's just me. In terms of articulation, we have fully articulate fingers, individual, of course, a wrist that'll move back and forth, forearm articulation, double jointed elbow, a shoulder joint, which, I mean, it's a pretty decent shoulder joint. Just has a bit of trouble every now and then when it scrapes against this, which isn't too often because it is set pretty far apart. He also does have a peg hole in the back, so you can use him with some of the stands included in the later series. Now the head has a pretty good range of motion. It can't look straight up, but it can look down. And then of course it doesn't go a full 360 rotation, or it can, but I don't want to risk breaking it. An ab/diaphragm joint. Waist moves. Leg joint kind of sucks. I don't like this leg. Double jointed knee. Pin joints. Your calf will move. Again, it's really well concealed just because you have the fur there. Foot goes through a full range of motions, forward, back, then side to side. And you have a toe joint. On the whole, I think this is a great looking Sabretooth. I'm hard to press to say whether or not this is my favorite version, but this is the version I own right now. The other versions I haven't gotten a copy of. And honestly, I don't know if I probably will pick the other versions up going forward, just because once I have one iteration of a character, unless it's a completely different costume, I typically don't pick up another figure for it, but who knows. As mentioned, Sabretooth, beyond actually being one of my favorite heroes villains, he was also one of my favorite villains, period. He's appeared in a number of the fighting game series, including I think it was one of the X-Men vs. Street Fighters. In addition to appearing in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, where they basically recycled the sprite from the earlier game. I believe he had a support character as in Birdie, but I can't remember. I'm not sure if that was in the original one or if it's the later one, but yeah. Birdie, by the way, for those of you who aren't familiar with the character, was Sabretooth's very short-lived sidekick. She was a mutant telepath that he hired to suppress his bloodlust. I believe eventually she ended up getting killed, but I don't remember. It's been so long. One of the things I've really liked about Sabretooth is, I mean, the character has never really been given a completely concrete origin. Kind of like the Joker, where the Joker goes through various origin stories at times, and he just doubts his own history. Although there are hints that suggest that one version is more accurate than others, but basically, he's a very long-lived mutant. He has a regenerative ability, just like Wolverine, called a healing factor, actually, which allows him to survive most serious injuries and so forth. He was in the Weapon X program, along with Wolverine. But, they never really got along then. Then, after Wolverine lost his memory, Sabretooth took every chance to still antagonize him. Overall, pretty cool looking character design in terms of a villain. And I've always liked the character himself, just for the, I guess as a foil to Wolverine, where you have another great hunter here. Kind of like Kraven, except for, on steroids. I really liked the, version of him seen in the animated series, just because he was just so much more massive. He had a huge upper torso and so forth. But I guess this is probably a more comic accurate look. Let me just quickly see. Maybe not. Got these comics back in, I think it was 94, so. At any rate, I like the figure. I do recommend him. I mean, although he does have leg issues, but, what can you do? Until next time, folks.